Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Garfield Bowen.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Are you in need of a law firm for intellectual property? Well, one may be closer than you think. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing the managing partner, Daniel Scola, with Hoffmann and Barron LLP. Daniel, how you doing today?
Doing great, Garfield. I appreciate you having me on.
Listen, we're excited to learn all about you and your practice. Tell us about your firm.
Yeah, sure. So Hoffmann and Barron is a specialty law firm. We deal only in intellectual property matters. So that entails things like patents, copyrights, trade secrets, trademarks. It's basically, the protection of ideas. So when people have ideas and they want to protect them in some form, usually it's some tangible form, that's our business. And there's intellectual property in almost everything that people sell, and in many processes that and things people do. So it's all around you, surrounds you.
Yeah, we have everybody here as an entrepreneur watching Shark Tank. They got to protect the ideas, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me, how do you get into this particular business?
Well, it's really interesting. I can tell you my story. When I was young, my dad was a scientist, and I saw him develop many things that were patentable. And one of the things he developed was this artificial marble, basically. It was a plastic, polyester type things. And you see them a lot now. They make them out of artificial sinks, and these drop-in type bathtubs. And those are all made out of polymer materials instead of ceramic materials. And he went to and he had me working on these in his basement, during the summers programs, developing the formulas and stuff. And he went to a large company, and they were extremely interested in the manufacturing group. And he brought all his notebooks with him. And when he left, they had gone through his briefcase and took the key formulation notebook that he had explained to them while he was there. And he didn't realize it because he had something like 15 notebooks that he went. And, he didn't have the knowledge of the wherewithal or even the money to actually go after them. But that company ended up manufacturing his formulation, and they made these drop-in bathtubs and artificial sinks that look just like marble, but they're a lot less expensive, and they made a big business out of it. And I said, to him, boy, that's not fair. You really ought to do something about it. But it got me interested on how do I help people protect their ideas, and how do I go about learning that sort of business. And because I was a science major as well in college, I was a chemistry major, I decided to go to law school. And if you're going to be an intellectual property attorney and you deal with patents, you have to have a science degree, because you have to take a separate bar, not just the state bar like New Jersey or Massachusetts, but there's a federal bar that they make you take in order to deal with the United States Patent Office, which is an agency. So it's a separate bar exam. So there's a higher level, but I wanted to do, that's how I got into it. But I deal with so many interesting people, like, not just the people that have, well, I have a better, kitchen tool, or I have a better way of, my lawnmower could work better. And those are great ideas alone. But I deal with a lot of, cutting edge science people, like in pharmaceutical companies with new drugs, medical device companies with new medical devices. I do a lot in the healthcare, but also in the industrial area. There's so many IT, all these things have, all these ideas have patent or trademark or copyright protection that you can get. And it gives you a monopoly for the period of time that it lasts, which is a competitive edge.
This is a fascinating topic, but what are one or two misconceptions in terms of people trying to consider whether they need to have something protected or not?
Well, it's a great question, because there are a lot of misconceptions. But I will tell you the one mistake that people think, or make, I should say, is they come up with an idea and they think, oh gosh, I better run this idea by other people because I think it's a good idea. Maybe other people don't think it's a good idea. So they do that, first of all. And so they disclose their idea without having a confidentiality agreement in place. Well, that's going to destroy their rights in most countries. And it starts the clock in the United States running. So you might not be able to get it in the United States or anywhere else, because once it's in the public domain, you can't get a monopoly on something in the public domain. So that's one misconception that people have. Well, I'll share my idea and see if everybody likes it. Not a good start. And many companies fail because of that, because they can't get the patent protection, which gives them the competitive edge. The other mistake that I see happen a lot is they do think that once they develop the idea and we get it patented, that it's going to be simple. People are just going to buy it. It's going to fly off the shelf. If they don't have a good business plan in place and a marketing plan that actually can reach out to the right audience, it's going to be difficult for them to really make any grounds. And the patent will get investments because people want to invest, because it gives them some certainty that there's a protection around it, right? You can keep people out of this area, but you have to be able to market it. So you got to think in advance. Well, what's my business plan? And so I always ask people, look, I can do the legal work for you, but you're the expert in that business, or you should be. Develop a plan while we're doing this, because investors want to see, well, what's the plan? What's your business plan? What's going to happen with this if I invest in this? So those are the two big mistakes I see people making, or misconceptions.
And kind of segue into my next question. We all know that marketing is the heart of every business. How do you find these people that needs patents?
Well, it's interesting. I do public relation work, but a lot of my business comes from doing a really good job on something for a company. I do a lot of startups, a lot of mid-sized companies. I do a lot of Fortune 500, and I do individuals as well. But it really comes from referrals for the most part, and public relations. Like, people will see your name, but they won't really understand, what does it really mean, and connect it. But someone will say, you really should use this person because he gives you a very fair, cost-effective price. He gives you personalized attention, which, that's a word everyone will say they give you. But in larger firms, it's not possible, because it's their platform and their business model doesn't allow for that in order for them to make money. So they push it down to the lower level of people who don't really understand. They don't have the experience enough to really give you efficient work, where I have a different model. My model is that I don't want to push it too far down. I want to have a backup that has almost the same experience as I do, not as much, but almost the same. But I can bill them out at a lower level, so I can get a cost efficiency, but they still get the high level attention. So I don't spend a lot of money on marketing per se, like ads and things like that. I rely on a word of mouth. I go and meet people. I do podcasts. Garfield, I think it's really important to have, and the younger generation does this less, right? I've been around a little bit longer than some of these people that are going into it, obviously. But unless you have an ecosystem of trusted people that they trust you and you trust them, there's really no motivation for them to help you, because they don't know you. They want a relationship. So if you can develop a relationship, and it doesn't come right away. You don't meet someone and say, hey, I'm a great patent attorney. That doesn't get you anywhere. What you do is you learn something about the person, about the business. I think it's important that you don't pitch, but rather find out what people's needs are. That's my approach. I find out what their needs are, and then I give them suggestions. Perhaps you can try this, or perhaps you can try that. If they have an attorney, I'll say, has your attorney tried this? If he hasn't, maybe you can tell him to try this. And I give them something for free, because I want them to know I know what I'm doing. But I don't have to pitch them directly. I want them to know that I'm willing to give them something before I'm asking for something. And I want to create a relationship of trust. So, that's basically how I do my marketing.
I spent a summer with a gentleman who actually he his job was approving patents. He worked from home, and I was just picking his brain all the time, just really
Yeah.
fascinated with it. And the whole topic is so fascinating. You're here today on my show, but have you ever thought about doing your own podcast?
Garfield, I have, and I would do it differently than any other podcast I've seen out there on IP. And one of the things they do not teach you in law school, and I was just talking to someone yesterday at a continuing legal education actually course that we're all required to take. So I was there for most of the day, and I was sitting down next to some law students who were going there because they just had such an interest and wanted to, have a career in this area. And they said, one thing they don't teach in law school is they don't teach the business aspect of anything. It's usually just, here's different areas of law that you should know. But when you go out and you're trying to get clients, you have to know something about business and something about people, because without being able to communicate well with people, I don't care how good you are at what you do, if people don't want to work with you, it's not going to work. It's really about that. So I would teach, pressing the flesh more. I would teach, try to get as much, personal contact with people. If you can't go there, then chat on the phone, hear their voice, do some sort of a live stream, something like this. But the more contact you have, the more trust you build, the more, about each other. And that helps, it sort of ingratiates both of you into a business relationship. That's not taught in law school. And that my podcast would go into some of that detail if I were to do one.
So, Daniel, when you're not so busy running your practice, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. So, well, I like to do a lot of active stuff. I've always, like to work out, and I kind of like to play little golf. I'm pretty terrible, but I still enjoy it. And I like to ski. But my real love has always been music, and I have a daughter that's a pretty well-known musician. She writes for a lot of the people that you would know, like Justin Bieber and Avril Lavigne, and a lot of other well-known artists. And she was Grammy nominated. So she's done music has always been my love. But my dad said to me, "Hey, I can't pay for music school because I don't think it's going to work out in the end. It's so hard to make money."
Yeah.
And he said, I'll help you if you go into something that makes sense. That this is old school thinking now. So he's a chemist. I became a chemist. Okay. So there you have it. But I didn't do that to either of my daughters, and they're both very good at music. But music is, I do a lot of writing. Sometimes I'll perform with my daughters at places. I'm a pianist and a percussionist by trade, but that's what I do. I like that.
Okay, we're about out of time, but one last thing I want you to leave with our listeners today is, if there was just one thing they should remember about Hoffmann and Barron LLP, what would that one thing be?
I think that you would be very happy with the kind of advice on how to protect your ideas. Even if we don't engage, you will get something out of it. We'll give you some direction to know whether you should continue to try to work on that idea or not. And if you do engage with us, it'll be not just fun. You'll get something out of it in terms of, I think, return, if you can sell your products and your processes. Yeah.
Okay, my listeners now have one thing on their mind right now is how can I get more information about Hoffmann and Barron LLP?
Okay, well, the best thing probably would just to, I'm on LinkedIn, so it's Daniel Scola, but Hoffmann and Barron, it's Hoffmann Barron is the name of the firm, and it's HBIPLAW.com or HoffmannandBarron.com. You can get to the website, and it's there. You'll find lots of information, and there's numbers to call, and would love to help anybody out there that really has an interest.
For those of us that want to hit the numbers on the phone, is there a number you like to share?
Yeah, it's you can call my cell, because I use my cell a lot, 862-812-9841, or you can call the firm number 973-331-1700, and that's the firm number.
Listen, Daniel, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I wish you and your business the very best moving forward.
Thanks, Garfield. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnplive.com. That's gnplive.com. Or call 877-934-3302.